Hey, we're here today on the Leander Scoop podcast with Leigh Kubin, and she is a life coach and a resident of Leander, and I'm stoked to talk to her. So thanks for being here, Leigh.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. So why don't you give everybody a quick intro about you, how long you've lived here and what you're doing in the coaching space.
I have been in Leander since 2001, I believe.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
it's been a minute. We raised our kids here, and I've been a coach since 2010. I started working in the weight loss field, and that's where it all began. And I would see people lose weight and gain weight and lose that back and forth thing. And it was like, there is more to this than just my psychology degree. I need a different piece to add to it. So I added life coaching, and that was good, but I still felt like there was more. And about 3 years ago, I added hypnotherapy. I ran into someone that was asking me about NLP, which is neuro linguistic programming. And he was the third person that had asked me. And so I said, okay, that's a sign. I need to check into this. And so I did. The next morning. I got up and got online and started looking for certifications, and I found hypnotherapy with it. And when I found hypnotherapy, I knew, oh my gosh, this is it. So I went and got my certification in hypnotherapy, then my master's certification. And then I got my NLP certification. I'm working on my master's certification. So it's just been an evolution. And that's where I've seen the most impact. And what has come out of it is that people will come to me to lose weight or to quit smoking or to stop doing something. But it's not about that thing. It's about how that thing they're using as an excuse to hold them back from fully showing up in life. Wow. So I practiced hypnotherapy out of the office I was working at. I worked for surgeons. And in January of this year, I left and went out on my own. So I am practicing out of my own office in Cedar Park.
Wow. Congrats on doing that. Where is your office exactly? Like what part of Cedar Park?
I'm on 1431. You know where Torchy's Tacos is?
Yep.
That office park back there.
Okay.
I work out of Cedar Park Reflexology.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Well, that's great that you're able to do that. Obviously, I think the only way you could actually pull that off is if you are already successful, because otherwise you'd still be there. So I think that signals that you're doing something really special and unique, I think.
It fuels me for sure.
That's amazing that your business is something that you're so passionate about. Unfortunately, not everybody has that luxury. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
So give a little bit of a basic on, hypnotherapy, NLP. Even I know about these things, but I really don't feel super confident that I know enough. So maybe let's chat a little bit about the basics there for somebody who has never heard of this outside of just the name and knows nothing. Like, what should they know?
Yeah, a lot of people are like, are you going to make me quack like a duck, bark like a dog, that kind of thing, that nervous thing.
Party tricks.
Yes.
That's what they think. Yeah.
Not the same thing. So our brain does not know the difference between what we tell it and what is happening to us. And so our body reacts. Like, we can be saying terrible things to ourselves, judging ourselves, and our body feels like we're in that space where that is happening to us and reacts accordingly. And a lot of those stories that we are telling ourselves are just made up nonsense. They're something someone might have said in an angry moment, didn't really mean anything, but we took it and made it true. And then we just repeat it and repeat it. So the idea is to get in a really relaxed state, calm your mind. And then I'm telling you all the things that you want to do, to be. And then your mind starts getting used to the idea, because in the beginning, I have to be really careful, because in the beginning, you're going to argue. That's not true. That's not true. And the more you hear it, the more you believe it. So I have people come in. I have this amazing chair that they can sit in or lay, it goes completely flat so they can get as relaxed as they want. And I talk to them for about 20 minutes and get them into that state. And I talk to them and kind of see what's going on, where they're wanting to go, where they feel stuck. And then we talk about sort of ways to feel a little unstuck. Just questions. What if you're wrong about this? What if you misunderstood this? Because when we start asking ourselves, oh, maybe I am wrong, everything opens up. And then we begin to change. I mean, we're programmed by what we watch on TV. Whatever we're constantly watching over and over again, we believe. And then we live as if that is true. And so my thought is, if we're going to make up a story and live by it, wouldn't it serve us for it to be one that we want to be true?
Yeah. Make up a better story. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. When you say somebody comes in and they sit down for 20 minutes and you talk to them. I mean,
well, I'm with them for about an hour, but the
Yeah.
hypnotherapy piece is about 20 minutes. But go ahead.
Okay. So I guess the question is how, just again, super high level, big picture, how does somebody go from, okay, I'm in the car, I'm walking into her office to, now I guess, would you call it hypnotized or what? How does that happen? What is it that you're doing
So
differently than what I would, if, a random conversation?
Okay, so I'll have Hertz music on, which is just frequency music, which in itself is relaxing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I start with breathing, and then I have a point of focus. So, for instance, I'll tell them to imagine that there is a flat rock in their hand and feel its texture and its weight and its temperature. And all this is doing is trying to get their conscious mind bored. I'm just trying to bore their conscious mind so it shuts off. And so after we play with the rock for a bit, then we start maybe imagining a relaxing light, maybe in the center of our chest, that's flowing through every part of our body. And I either start at the feet and work up to the head, or I'll start at the head and I'll work down to the feet and relax their whole body. Again, trying to bore their conscious mind. That's it. But it gets them distracted from the racing thoughts that we tend to have going on.
So go ahead.
Then we'll go into a deepener, which is maybe we'll go on a walk over a bridge, or we'll walk down a spiral staircase, just different places that we'll go walk. And I'll generally count down from 10 to 1, just getting them deeper and deeper relaxed. And then I go into a metaphor that is based on whatever they're dealing with. So they can look at what they have going on from a little bit of a different angle and see the big picture of that, and then relate it to what's going on with them. Appreciation is also a big component of it. So walking through the things that they're really, really full of gratitude for, and conjure that feeling of gratitude in their bodies so that they begin to feel, oh, yes, I am grateful for this. And I'm grateful for this, because that's where the magic is. When we can sit in gratitude, everything we want, we see before us. But when we're sitting in lack or fear, we cannot see it. I was officing out of another office right in the same park that I'm in now. And I walked in one day, and mind you, I just quit my job and went out on faith. And I walk into the office, and the owner said, Leigh, we're shutting down the office. We're closing it down. And when I'd gone initially, she's like, our lease is for 4 more years. So if you like it here, you can stay, but I can't promise you anything beyond that. So I'm like, 4 years. Okay. And we're talking 3 months in.
Jeez.
So, well, my first response was in my body. I didn't say it out loud, was, oh my gosh, I just quit my job. But then I heard this very quiet, but everything always works out for you. And if you're not here, you know that you'll be led to the best place that you can be. And I completely relaxed in my body, was able to put my stuff down and go back and talk to her and see kind of what she was going through. Because at that point, it wasn't about me, because I had the realization that everything works out for me. And that was on a Tuesday. And that Friday, when I was leaving the office, I got in my car and I had this very, very strong nudge. And it was more than a nudge, it was almost a, hey, drive around to the street behind you. And so I got very curious and excited, like, oh, what am I going to find? And so I'm driving around looking on both sides of the road, going, what's here? What's waiting for me? And I get this, it's down at the end. Just keep driving. And as I did, what do I see but Cedar Park reflexology? And I think, oh, that's an interesting place. And I keep driving, and on the other side of the car, because there was a car that was blocking it, is a sign that said treatment room for lease or for rent. And I thought, oh, is it really this easy? And it is. Everything that we want or need is there, but we have to get quiet and listen to that guidance that we all have that tells us where to go, where to turn, where to look. And if I had been sitting in fear and anger about my space getting ready to disappear, and I was on the phone with my friends or my mother going, oh my gosh, you're not going to believe this, I would not have heard that quiet little nudge. So when we're sitting in gratitude, we see things that otherwise we wouldn't see. When we're sitting in fear, we can't see them because we're distracted from the impulses that we're getting.
Yeah. Wow, that's powerful. I love that. And I like what you were saying about um essentially making your conscious mind bored. That's it, that
Mhm.
was a really interesting way to say it. Is that really kind of what hypnotherapy is just getting
Right.
you out of,
Because
yeah, explain that, because I don't
so
think people
once
realize
your
that.
conscious mind shuts down, and it does, and I
Mhm.
can see it as they're sitting in the chair. I can see their body change. I can see their breathing change. You can see how relaxed they are. And so it's very clear to me when the right time to go in and start telling them the story that they know to be true. Although I have to be very, very careful in easing them in. And because I record those sessions so that I send them to them and they'll listen to them all week until they come back the next week. So each week, more and more is introduced, but you sort of have to start where they are and at their level of resistance. Because let's say you want to be really, really successful in your business and you're trying to build a business, but you don't feel successful. If I go in and try to tell your subconscious you are wildly successful and have more money than you could ever spend, it won't resonate. It won't stick because that is not the truth
Mm.
that your subconscious sees. So it's more about introducing the what ifs. Imagine this. Could this be possible? And then you start asking the questions like, maybe it is possible. Maybe I can lose 100 pounds. Maybe I can find that lover. Maybe I can build that business or build that house or get that car. Or maybe I can just be at ease in my body and around others. Maybe I don't have to be so anxious all the time. Maybe there's not really anything to be anxious about. And that's where the shift happens. And you begin to look out at the world a little differently.
Yeah. No, I love this. I totally believe that for sure. Tell me, do you have any stories that you can tell of like success stories, obviously without giving anybody's name? Are there any people that you've helped who've kind of what they've overcome or how they've changed for the better that might be kind of eye-opening for some people on what's possible here?
I had a lady that came in to lose some weight. So she had had bariatric surgery and she had lost some, but she just wasn't quite where she wanted to be. Now, this woman was a striking woman. She was tall, the way she carried herself, the way she dressed. She owned the room when she walked in the door. And I don't care what room she walks in. You cannot help but notice her. She was beautiful. She was secure. And she comes in and she's telling me that she needs to lose some weight. And I'm looking at her and I said, "You look really comfortable and happy in your body." And she said, "Well, okay, I am. But I'm wanting to launch this business. And I don't believe that I will be successful if I don't lose weight. What will people think?"
Hmm.
And I was like, "You don't care what people think." And it quickly changed from I need to lose weight. Now, let me back up and say that she did. But it was more about that business and her belief that she was not enough to build it. She was the breadwinner of the family. She needed $10,000 a month in order to quit her corporate job. And so we worked she was trying to quit around summertime, which would help her, would give her that $10,000 a month, would give her the buffer she needed to be able to stay home that summer, ramp up her business, because her business, the busiest time is between September and May or June. So the summer months are a little quieter. And so we were sort of getting her prepared and ready because she wanted that end date at that corporate job. And so we're working on mindset. We're working on strategically, what does she need to be doing every week in between when we meet? So I'd hold her accountable. Like, these are the things that need to be done. Well, we get to the time that it's coming up for her to quit her job. And she gets on our call and she's like, "Leigh, you're not going to believe this. I've got $40,000 sitting there. Wait, there's my buffer plus 10 grand. Like, I'm golden." And she was able to walk away from this corporate job and launch herself into this business and really find her footing. And that was amazing because she thought it was about her weight. And she thought that meant that she couldn't follow her dream and do what she wanted. And it was eye-opening for me to see how quickly she was able to achieve all of that and show herself what she could do.
Yeah,
And
that's
I
that's
had
awesome.
another lady that came in to lose weight and then began peeling back the onion and really got in touch with some of the things from her past that she needed healing from. And she opened up and was so vulnerable with me and honest about what she wanted and where she was and what she wanted to do. And it opened her up in a way. And she'll tell anybody that asks her, like, "This opened me up in a way I didn't know I needed to be opened up." It let some of those old limiting beliefs about what was possible for her go away and let her sit in, what do I want? What do I want to create in this phase of my life? It's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think no matter who you are, like so often you just need that other person to help you see what you can't see, or to really
Mhm.
ask you the questions that you just can't ask yourself.
Yeah.
And
Because we
I
can't
yeah,
see
yeah,
our own stuff,
yes,
and we don't know what we don't know. And if we
that's right.
believe this is all I am worthy of, we're not going to try to achieve anything else.
Yeah. I mean, I love the phrase. I don't know if this totally applies, but like, you can't see the label from inside the jar, right?
No.
And
Mm.
that's what somebody like you can come in and help people. And that's awesome. That's really powerful. How, I know you're launching a book soon.
I am.
Tell me about that, and how that can help people.
So it's the Connection Challenge. And it is a book that was born out of a challenge that was one of those nudges that I was getting. But I was working on my podcast, and it was like late October, early November. And the weight of the world was just sort of sitting on me. And this feeling of disconnection between all of us. I think it probably started in COVID when we got a little
Hmm.
isolated, but noticing how everyone is afraid of everybody. And I can't hang around these people because they believe this. And I can't, and family members and all of the chaos. And for months and months, and probably even a couple of years, it's been on my mind like, what can I do? What groups can I get involved in? Well, all the groups are divisive, and they're just feeding the fear. And although they're trying to do good, it's creating more of a divide and more of a fear. And not that they aren't doing some good in some ways. I didn't feel like my energy was going to be best served there. And I just kept getting this feeling like, hang on, you'll get it, you'll get it, you'll get it. So I'm working on my podcast, doing some editing. And in that podcast, I'm talking about when I went to the mosque here in Austin for one of my religions of the world classes that I was taking years ago in college. And I picked the Muslim religion because that's the one that I had the most resistance to. And I make the appointment, I get to the mosque. Now, I'm on my high horse about all this, right? Because I know so much more, and
Hmm.
I am right. And I'm going to go show how wrong they are. And it's embarrassing to say that, but that's where I was. And I'm on the phone with my husband going, you're not going to believe this. The men are walking in the front and the women are walking in the back. And I was just, that's where I was. So I walk in the church, in the back of the church or the mosque with the women, and we sit down to listen to the service. And there is a screen, so you can't really see anybody. There's a piece that you can see at the top, but down below where all the men are is all covered. So I'm listening to this service, and I was struck at how similar it was to the Southern Baptist Church that I grew up in. The only difference was there was no mention of hell. And it confused me because I thought that I knew who these people were. And here they are sharing this beautiful message of love. And then I interviewed the women, and they loved their religion. They loved, like, one of them was a white woman that converted. And just hearing their stories and seeing their love for their religion and how connected they were to it and how much they got out of it, it made my mind explode a little bit because I just got proved wrong in the best possible way. It opened me up. And I thought, wow, that does not appeal to me. And it wouldn't be something that I would convert to, but I can certainly see how it appeals to them. And wow, I was wrong. I was way, way wrong about this. And never again have I felt disconnection from the Muslim religion or Muslim people, and I see them so very, very differently than I did before I walked into that church and sat there and listened and talked with them. And then it occurred to me, wow, you've had big moments in your life where you thought things were one way. But as soon as you sat with someone that was in that space, they opened you up to seeing the world a little bit differently. And I thought, well, this is something. How do we get people to connect with people different than they are? Well, you should probably do a connection challenge. Talk to a person every day for 30 days. And I'm going, oh, that's it. I don't know what it means, but I'm going to do that. And so I did. I began connecting, making a list of people that maybe had different religions, different races, different worldviews, different sexual orientations, just people I knew in my community that were different than me. And I started talking to them. Some of them I knew, sometimes they were people at the grocery store, and it was less formal, but it was just making a connection. And the way people opened up, I don't know that I changed anyone that I talked to. And in fact, I'm still doing this today. But it changed me because it allowed me to see people that I thought maybe were closer aligned with me. I could see our differences where I didn't even notice them before. Not that it mattered, but I thought, look at these differences that we have, yet we're close. That's no difference or no different than the differences I have with people on the other side that maybe I'll say, oh, they're this, so I'm just not even going to go there. Instead of realizing all of the things that we do have in common. It shifted me, it changed me, it opened me up, which that's where this book came from. Because I wanted to share it with other people. Because we can't change anyone by connecting with them, but we can change us. And by being open and authentic about who we are and not cutting people off because they're different than we are, we're allowing them to see us and learn a different perspective as well. I was in a networking group years and years ago here in Leander, and there is a woman that walked in the door one day who was obviously a lesbian woman. And she came in and joined our group and became our friend. And she was the first lesbian person or gay person that I had ever actually known to interact with. And we would have barbecues and we would have functions as a group, and she would come with her roommate. Well, you could not help but fall in love with these women. They were kind, they were generous with their time, with their community, and they just became part of our family, but they would never talk about their relationship. They were just there. And finally, we went to them because all of us started talking, going, she's not fully herself in our presence. Doesn't she know that we love her and we don't care who she loves? And so we confronted her in a way, in a loving way, to say, hey, you don't have to hide who you are here. And she said, thank you for that. But y'all can't tell anybody, because her girlfriend at the time, they weren't married. It wasn't legal yet. They're married now, but it wasn't something that she could openly be. She was a teacher and she would have lost her job. So she was like, please, please don't out us. They needed that safety. And what she did by being present with us was show me something that I had never seen before and gave me a perspective that I'd never had, which was they're just like us. Like her and her girlfriend, now wife, are just like me and Paul. They love each other. They want to be safe and live a happy life and be part of their community. I wasn't necessarily anti gay, but I had just been brought up to believe we don't go there. That's sinful. That's bad. And seeing it up close and personal broke it open in me and changed me. And I'm forever grateful for her bravery to walk into that space and be different, not try to change anyone, not do anything but show up and be the love that she was. It changed us all. And that's what happens when we show up with people that are different than we are.
Yeah, no, I love that. I feel like this reminds me of you probably don't know about this, but David Foster Wallace has a famous speech I think he gave at Harvard about how just being open to something that you think you know that you may not know, right?
Yeah.
And what another person that so by the way, anybody should listen to that speech. It's like 15 minutes or something, but it's amazing just on how you see things and how you're willing to look at things and to see how maybe your instinct is wrong. Now, it doesn't mean it is, but to at least be it just at least that it's you be open to it. It's kind of like Tim Ferriss, who's a famous Austin person, very well known. One of the things he taught me is like just always ask yourself, could I be wrong about this, or where could I be wrong, right? And actually investigate it.
Yeah, because that's where everything changes. Maybe you're not wrong.
Maybe you're not, but you should be willing to investigate.
What it opens up for you is life changing.
Yeah, totally. And I think too many people just are not willing to consider the fact that they could be wrong and to be willing to see things a different way. And again, you don't have to be wrong, but it makes you more understanding of people and the world when you know that you're willing to accept and admit when you're wrong, when you are, right?
It's being curious.
Yeah, curiosity. Yeah, which the way the world is today, now's a great time to be curious because it's changing so fast.
Great time. Yeah. I've got a 5-year-old grandson, and he's in that phase where he knows everything. And I watch him dig in some, because I'm not going to argue with him. Okay. But I watch him sometimes and I think that's where most of us are right now. We are in that I am right and I know everything. And we can't learn anything when we don't come from a place of curiosity. But once we do, and then we talk to people not to try to convince them, but to understand, everything opens up. And that's my goal. That is my only goal with this book. And I can share the link with you. And you can
we'll put it in. Yep.
It's a free book. It is for the sole purpose of getting people to connect. That's it.
Yeah. Which is a great, really powerful goal. And to your point with COVID, the way things have been lately, obviously with supercharged, whether it's politics or whatever's going on, people do feel more disconnected, and that's not a good thing. And people should be proactive about trying to do something to fix that. Again, in their own life, right? You can't fix the country. You can't fix, other people, but you can make yourself better, which in turn may help other people. But that's not the goal, right? The goal is to help yourself.
Because we can't change the world, but we can change ourselves.
That's right.
And if enough of us start looking at ourselves, going, how can I be better? How can I be the best version of myself? Connected to my community and loving on people. What can happen with that?
Yeah. No, that's amazing. And I didn't realize that the book, you're giving it away. So that's awesome. Yeah. So, Leigh, tell everybody where they can find you. What's the best, website or email or phone, or like, how do you want people to find you?
They can find me at leigh-kubin.com.
Okay.
I'm on Facebook. I am on TikTok. I am on sort of on Instagram, but not as fully as the others. I'm on
Okay.
LinkedIn.
Okay.
But yeah, so I try to post my blogs. I do a weekly podcast, the Happy Half Hour podcast with my friend Sandra Priestley. And we have that comes out weekly. And then we have weekly or daily snippets
Oh, nice.
that we'll put
Okay.
out of our videos.
Yeah.
So lots of different places. But
Okay.
yeah, I'm in Cedar Park. I do appointments in my office, and then I work with people all over the country.
Oh, really? You do?
So
I
I
mean,
do Zoom.
okay, interesting. Well,
Yeah,
hopefully people here should definitely go see you in person because we're local.
yeah, because we're
But that's
local
good to
for
know that you
sure.
can do that if somebody maybe knows somebody who needs it, who doesn't live here,
Yeah,
a family member
yeah.
or something. So, well, Leigh, this has been really good. I love this. I think everybody needs to start thinking about this. Even if at worst, go down the rabbit hole, right? Start looking into
Yeah.
this if you're not aware of it, and start seeing what's possible because. I didn't know anything about this at all a few years ago, and then I've started to dig in a little bit, and it
Mhm.
really opens your mind to what's possible, and that's where things change, as you said. So,
Yeah.
I think this is great, and people should check you out. So, thanks for being here, Leigh. We appreciate
Thank
it.
you so much.
Of course. All right.